Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new here, my name is Maria, and in today's video I really want to talk about self-love. Self-love, but probably not from the perspective that you usually hear about self-love. Some of you guys may have seen my recent video in which I did a vlog, and in that vlog I basically took you guys along with me on a journey where I went to go and eat by myself. I went on a solo day date, and I also went to the theatre by myself. Yes, by myself. And it was very intentional because I guess for me this was part of my self-love journey, and to be honest, what I like to call healthy love. So recently, just doing all of that, I kind of got to a point where I said that I want to really understand biblically what self-love is, and to just kind of measure that and see where I am on my self-love journey, my healthy love journey, and essentially just see how I can do better. So I'm kind of taking you guys on the journey with me, taking you guys along with me, and I really hope that this video will bless someone and just really make you think about how you are loving yourself. Now, the main purpose of this is not to be selfish, but for us to really kind of think about how we're loving ourselves so that we can love other people. In Matthew 22 verse 39, it says, "Love your neighbor as you love yourself." And every single time I hear that scripture, it makes me question that, if I don't love myself, how can I love others, right? Or the way that I love myself will be reflected in the way that I love others. So if I want to have healthier relationships, then sometimes you have to start from looking within and seeing how we love ourselves. So I'm just going to kind of take you guys along with me as I kind of just break down the things that I learned in my study of 1 Corinthians chapter 13, which I'm sure we're all familiar with, and just kind of try and practicalize what I learned in terms of how we can love ourselves better. So the first one that it talks about is love is patient. Love is patient. And I know every single time we hear this, it probably reminds us of how impatient some of us really are. But this really spoke to me in terms of how patient we are on our journey. How patient are you with yourself? How patient are you when you get things wrong, when you don't do things right? How patient are you when it comes to waiting on God? Or even how patient are you when it comes to waiting in the process? So for me, it made me really think that when we're impatient, we really do rush. When we're impatient, we start to make decisions that we probably shouldn't be making. We get into relationships, we go to certain places, maybe even enter into certain jobs that are not really for us because we weren't patient with the process. We weren't patient with ourselves. So yeah, I guess for me, it just really spoke to me about being more patient with myself and being more patient on the journey and with the process. And that is me showing myself healthy love. The more I'm patient with myself and my journey, the more I'm kind of walking in healthy love. So the next one is love is kind. And I feel like this is the one that a lot of us can probably relate to a little bit more. I think that when we hear about self-love, this is the one that we hear about a lot all over YouTube. People are not forgetting about being kind to themselves, and it's not a bad thing. But when I think about being kind to ourselves, a lot of the time we focus on the exterior. So it's about looking good, having your hair done, having your face looking nice, and all of that good stuff. But sometimes we tend to neglect being kind to ourselves on the inside. So when I think about being kind to ourselves, I think about looking after our physical health, looking after our mental health, looking after ourselves, making sure that we take time to rest, and even just looking after our soul. So soul care. And this is something that I feel we don't talk about often, but that's something that I've been learning myself, where sometimes we neglect the inner part of us. So how kind are you being to yourself? Yes, you're not forgetting to look kind on the outside, but what about how you treat your inside? Are you allowing certain things that are not good for your soul to come and destroy your soul? You know, are you doing certain things that you know are not good for your spirit? Sometimes thinking about these things is also a part of our healthy love journey, our self-love journey, thinking about what we're feeding ourselves with. And I think for me, what I learned, which was the biggest part of it, is that balance is key. Balance is key, because I found myself recently pouring so much into one area, yet neglecting another area. And then it was affecting the area I was pouring into. I know it doesn't make sense, but stay with me, guys. When we over pour into one area, when it comes to our self-love, self-care, then we start to neglect other areas. And after a while, we realize that that area that we're pouring into, we're not able to benefit from it fully because we're neglecting other areas. So balance is definitely key. And for me, when it comes to my healthy love journey, my self-love journey. That's very important. The next one is love does not envy. And I think when we think about love does not envy, or when we think about envy, a lot of the time we're pointing at the other person, right? We're thinking, oh, the person that's been envied, let's look at that person. But a lot of the time we need to look within and look at ourselves. Like, why are you envying somebody else? A lot of the time, at the root of it, there's a lot of issues. It might be insecurities. There might be some, maybe things that haven't been dealt with from childhood that we need to really look into and dig into. And I think taking that time to actually address those ugly issues is self-love, is healthy love. Taking that time maybe to look on maybe emotional healing, right? I did a series recently on emotional healing. Make sure you check it out. But making sure that we take that time to just be like, what are these things that are maybe affecting me emotionally that I haven't dealt with, which is making me act out of my emotions? That's self-love, right? It reminds me about the saying that they say that unforgiveness is like drinking poison but expecting the other person to die. The other person will not die, but we don't know that slowly we could be killing ourselves. And even if that's not physically, we know that it's not good for our spirit, it's not good for our soul. It doesn't hurt the other person. If anything, it hurts us. So if we want to love ourselves more, wisdom will tell us, right, that we should make sure that we deal with those issues. The next one is love does not boast and is not arrogant. And again, like the previous one that I just touched upon, we often look at the other person and think about the other person that we're boasting to, that we're trying to be arrogant towards, that we're trying to be prideful towards. But again, we need to look in ourselves, right? We need to look and just say, what is this issue that is causing me to be boastful? What is this issue that's causing me to be prideful? I need to realize what that is and deal with it. So for some people, it might be, again, insecurities. For some people, maybe there's a lack of affirmation. So maybe as they were growing up, they didn't really have that affirmation. They weren't really affirmed. So now they're lacking that and they're trying to find it by being proud towards other people. And I think a good solution for that, and you guys know I talk about this on my channel quite a bit, is affirmations. Literally having affirmations, biblical affirmations, and affirming ourselves. And that really does fill the void of feeling like we haven't been affirmed, rather than us trying to run out there and trying to seek that affirmation from places in the wrong way. So again, that's another thing, part of our self-love journey, realizing the things that maybe we're lacking, taking it to that place of prayer, taking it to that place of our journey when it comes to our emotional healing, and making sure that we deal with it. The Bible tells us that pride comes before a fall. And when I hear that, I'm just like, yo, if pride comes before a fall, then wisdom says that we should deal with pride so that we won't fall. The next one is love is not rude. Wow, this is such a big one again that sometimes we forget to talk about. Love is not rude. How do you talk to yourself? Because this is a question I had to ask myself, that how do you talk to yourself? And that's not even just what comes out of my mouth. That's also the thoughts that I'm having. Again, I recently did a video talking about overcoming negative thoughts. I just kind of shown a little bit on what I learned on my journey of overcoming negative thoughts and self-doubt. But these are things as well that when we just leave them unattended, that we're basically saying that I don't want to have healthy love. I don't want to have self-love. But our self-love journey is literally saying that, no, I'm going to deal with that. I'm not going to talk to myself in a negative way. I'm not going to say to myself, you're stupid, you're dumb, you don't know what you're doing, you can never get it right. No, I'm going to speak to myself in a positive way because I want to show myself healthy love. And the funny thing about that is that it tends to reflect in the way that we speak to other people, right? So when we start to speak to ourselves in a positive way, we start to realize that we're able to speak to others in a positive way. If you're constantly speaking negative towards yourself, then why wouldn't you talk negative about your brother? Why wouldn't you talk negative about your sister? Why wouldn't you talk negative when that work colleague gets on your nerves? But when we're able to know that, okay, love is not rude, and we treat ourselves in that way of respect, then I really do believe that it helps us to also treat others in that way of respect and helps us to love people in that right way. Okay, the next one. And we're nearly there, guys. Love does not insist on its own way. Again, this is one that in society, in the world, they don't talk about that. Because naturally, let's just be real, our flesh wants its own way. But again, me looking into just what biblical love looks like, I'm not gonna lie, it convicted me. Because I started to question that, Maria, sometimes you do kind of insist on your own way. And I had to literally go on that journey of realizing that love doesn't insist on its own way. In terms of looking at ourselves and realizing that whether you're single, you're married, you're in a relationship, you're whatever, we always have someone that we're submitted under. So I know people hate the word submission, and a lot of people only associate it with obviously when you're in marriage, but I've had to learn that submission starts even before marriage. So even when you're, I guess, in your parents' house or even under godly authority, submission comes in play. And it's really speaking to me in terms of, are we able to listen to godly advice? Are we able to listen to wisdom, right? Wise counsel that tells us, no, I don't think you should go that way. I don't think you should go that way. Are we able to listen to that? Or are we saying, no, it's going to be my way or no way? So again, this speaks to me in terms of submitting to God, surrendering to Christ, whether we're in any part, any stage of life, literally us being able to say that, okay, I'm going to submit to God because God is love. And if we're saying that we want to love, then we need to know the one who is love. So it's kind of like everything I've said in the whole terms of us loving each other. It's important, but if we really want biblical love, then we really need to submit to the one who is love. And it's so funny because before in Matthew 22, before it talks about how we should love our neighbor as ourselves, it tells us to love God with all of our heart, our mind, and our soul. And then finally, love is not resentful or irritable. And when I think about this, this speaks to me in terms of forgiveness. How quick are we to forgive ourselves? This is something for me on my journey. I've had to learn to give myself grace, right? I don't know if you guys are like me, but sometimes you go through a day and at the end of the day, you just feel like this day could have been better. I could have done better today, but forgetting that by the grace of God, there's another day for us to do better. And sometimes because of that, I found myself beating myself up, and I've had to learn that grace is available to me, and I need to receive that grace that's available while also giving myself grace. So have you forgiven yourself? Do you need to forgive yourself? Maybe that's part of what you need to work on right now in your self-love journey. Maybe that's what you need to work on in terms of walking on that journey of healthy love, to forgive yourself. And as we're able to forgive ourselves and realize that, listen, we're all humans, we're all flawed, then it will help us to be able to forgive others. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope it has blessed somebody. So I really wanted to just share a few of these things that I've been learning, hoping that it will bless someone else, because I feel like the world is talking and continually talking, and the thing with self-love, or the thing with anything in life anyway, is that the world could tell you today this is how you should love yourself, and next year they will tell you otherwise. So for me, I really wanted to know what the biblical perspective of love is, so that I can follow that, because I know that that does not change. So as each season obviously changes, yes, it may look different, but at least I know that foundation and that root of what love is. So if you haven't already, then please do like, share and subscribe. Make sure you join me on this journey. More content to come by the grace of God, and click on that notification bell. Click on it so that you can be notified every single time that I drop a new video. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video by the grace of God. Until next time, peace out and God bless.